What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Corbs, aka Mr. 10 out of 10, and I'm here with a legendary German hip hop producer, Faat. How are you going?
Hey man, nice to meet you.
Nice. So,
It's
how are
nice
you
to meet
doing
you. Finally
today?
to see you like in person, even though it's not really in person. I'm good. I'm good, man. We got a crazy time difference, right? Like what, 8 hours or something?
Yeah, 7 hours, 8 hours, something like that.
Yeah, here it's 12 noon now. 5 minutes
Uh,
to 12. Yeah.
it's 7:54 p.m. here.
So
So,
8 hours. Crazy, crazy. Just like 20 minutes ago, I just had a quick conversation with a friend in the States, and he's like, from here, from Germany, it's like 7 hours backwards. So I'm 7 hours ahead of him, and you're 8 hours ahead of me. It's crazy.
yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right. So, I want to start this interview from the very start. So, tell me, what was it like growing up in Germany?
I guess just normal, you know what I mean? Like, you probably never been to Germany before. It's not like many people that never been to Germany. It's not like that. What they think it is, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like all white and all, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty much super multi-culti, and it's okay, you know. I mean, it's cool. I don't know how else to say it, you know. I mean, Germany is dope, you know. It's not bad, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going on from there, what was your early inspiration into music? Who who brought you into music?
Oh yeah. This is going way back. My age. I'm 51, and so my first experience with hip hop music was actually breakdance. We used to have a show on German TV, and they introduced breakdance on the show. You know, what I mean? Like so I think it was the Rocksteady crew from New York. They have been there and they did a little show, and that was like what got me into like breakdance first. You know what I mean? So the music is more like electronic, like a little faster than the normal hip hop. And but yeah, that was actually brought me into it. And I
Um,
was breakdancing myself first.
oh wow. So did you have any like family figures who were really into music that made you want to get into music?
I mean, my father, he's a record. He was a record collector. He collected a lot of vinyls. Yeah, he was a vinyl, a collector, but mainly like old rock and roll, but also old soul music, like anything that like James Brown, all that famous stuff. But he also listened a lot to Elvis Presley, and one of his best friends, um, he's a black English guy. He used to be in the army, and he was all. They both were like collecting records. You know what I mean? So obviously he was more into like soul and northern soul, they call it in England, and stuff like that. So I always had music around me when I grew up as a kid. So definitely influenced me later when I started to produce. Because I remember all that, oh shit, yeah, I remember this, remember that. That was dope. I gotta, chop it up and stuff like that.
Nice. All right. So before you got into music, you told me that you were a bouncer, correct? That before
Well,
music?
not before I started to do music. Actually, it's like it went side by side. You know what I mean? Like because when I started to make music, actually, I was first an MC, a rap. I used to rap a lot until all through the 90s, until like 2003. I stopped, and then I just and there was like when I stopped rapping, I already started to learn how to produce, and then it just became only producing. So, but I have to go a little bit back before I come to the bouncing thing. So I've always also been into martial arts since a kid. So um, so there's like the three things: music, martial arts. Now two things: music and martial arts. And when was it? Like 2000. Now, first time I went to China for 3 months in 1991. I was just 20 years old. And then that's the first time I went to Asia, to China directly. And then I came back and I was all into music, still practicing martial arts. And early 2004, I went back to Hong Kong to live there. So I stayed there for like 3 years, but sometimes I went back to Germany for a couple of months and went back to Hong Kong. And then I stayed for 3 years in the Philippines, Manila. That's where my wife is from. I met her in Hong Kong. She used to work in Hong Kong before. So I lived with her for 3 years in Philippines, Manila. And then when 2009, I came back to Germany. And that's when I started to work as a bouncer and security for concerts and stuff like that, you know. So I always have been doing music, but also worked in security, you know. I do not live from my music, you know what I mean? Like I still work regular jobs and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Know? So yeah.
So okay, so going back, the first thing I want to ask is, where did your love for martial arts come from?
Oh yeah, Bruce Lee movies, you know what I mean? When I was a kid, my father had that was even before VHS came out, you know what I mean? They had the 8mm, you know, the reel-to-reels, the real things, and the movies were always short, like only like 15 minutes, you know, just the highlights, the fighting scenes, stuff like that. So we used to watch them on the screen, on a big screen from 8mm, and that's actually the first time I seen these guys jumping around, and I just copied it, and then yeah, when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I started really to join a club. I started with judo first and stuff like that, karate. Yeah, but it was the movies that brought me into martial arts. Yeah, 70s.
Was your love for martial arts the reason why you found a job in being a bouncer, security guard?
Because yeah, definitely. That was I gotta kick this off here. Yeah, definitely helped a lot for that, you know. So yeah.
And so was the martial arts and the Bruce Lee movies that you watched when you were younger, were they the reason why you wanted to live in Hong Kong?
Oh yeah, pretty China? Much. I mean, yeah, I because I still have a really huge interest for Chinese culture, which comes along with the martial arts, because I've been doing Chinese martial arts most of my life. Started with Japanese because didn't have any other options. But at that point, when I saw, there's a club that offers Chinese martial arts, I joined that because I always wanted to do that. And so, yeah, that was the reason why I wanted to go there and learn directly from some teachers there, right? So, yeah. So I always was in contact with Asian culture and people. So it always was the mix. Actually, there was like even pre-Wu-Tang, there was always that martial arts and hip hop mix.
That's incredible. So going back to, you said you were a rapper, an MC before you were a producer. Tell me about that. So yeah, what did you do when you were rapping? What was your rap name? How did you do that? And why did you quit rapping?
Oh man, I used to have different names. For my first name is really that was my first MC name was I came up with in the late 80s, like 89. And that was Cool Kid B. Like the typical, like that time everyone had a name like that. And later on, I changed it to Egocentric. Yeah, and actually, I stayed with that name until I stopped rapping. And I stopped because, I rapped in English, and but in Germany, the German rap grew bigger and bigger and bigger, and there was no, I mean, if they wanted to listen to English rap, they listen to American rap or maybe from the UK, and but it was cool, I got some CD albums out on CD. I got some, even there's still a video on YouTube floating around with where I was featured with some German rappers, and yeah, man. But I stopped because I thought, I've done what I could, and it won't bring me any further now. And I also got older, and then the training and family life. So I yeah, just stick with producing, you know what I mean? Because you know you can do that at home. You don't have to go on tours and stuff. Because I was touring actually a little bit as an MC back then, you know. So yeah.
So now I'm curious. Can you tell me what was the raps or what was the MC rap scene like in the late 80s, early 90s compared to today? What was the
Well,
vibe?
you know, I mean, I guess it was the same like everywhere, you know, because when I started to, you know, who made me want to rap? That was Spoonie G, and he had a track called Godfather of Rap. That's like a real old school John from like the 80, late, maybe 88 or something like that. And I loved that track, you know, and that kind of made me. And then obviously like EPMD, Eric B. and Rakim, Run DMC. I never was a big fan of the Beastie Boys, but yeah, I like more the style of like EPMD, Coogee Rap, Rakim, stuff like that, you know. And Fat Boys, I used to love the Fat Boys too. They were dope. So yeah, and that was the like the late 80s. And then when the new, they call it the golden era of hip hop, the boom bap, like you know, like when Nas and Mobb Deep and all of them came out. That was like that's probably my favorite time, you know, hip hop time. You know what I mean? Like the beats, the samples they used and how they flipped them and all that stuff. You know what I mean? That was also the time when I, you know, even though I didn't make any beats in the 90s, but a lot of times I found the samples and gave them to my producers, the guys I work with who made beats and stuff. I said, man, sample this and do this and that, you know. So I was already digging samples when I was not producing, you know. But yeah.
So one last thing on that, like on that topic, if you had to point out something that's different from the 90s, 80s era to today's era, do you notice anything different or anything missing or anything that's changed from then to now?
Oh yeah. It's obvious. On to be honest, you know, as I can only speak for myself, but I think a lot of people think the same, that like on my age range, we all live in the past. You know what I mean? Like we do music now, but we still, our mindset is still 90s. But it's so different. It's so different. Like as good the internet is, you know, but I mean we can talk, like, you know, you're in New Zealand, right? I'm here in Germany. You know, we can talk. That would have not been possible in the 90s, you know. But the whole vibe in the 90s, you had to do something, you know, to get something, you know. Now you just sit in front of the computer and that's all you do. Most people, you know what I mean? Like there's so many dope rappers, they don't even tour or nothing. They just record and drop an album every month, you know what I mean? Like, so like back then, and it was like one album every 2 years, you know. So the album could like really grow on people with the time. Now the shit is after 2 weeks it's done. You know, no one listen anymore. There's a new shit always coming out like every week and stuff like that. So the music doesn't last really. You know what I mean? It doesn't stay long. It's after 2 months it's already old. You know what I mean? So this is all like short-lived now, and that's the difference. There's no more like let stuff grow on you. That's all. It's all gone. And jams, hip hop jams. You know, you would go to a jam where a lot of rappers would have shows, and there would be breakdance, and DJs were doing their stuff. You know, this is all gone. It's just concerts. Everyone keeps their mobile phone in the air and records the whole thing and can't even enjoy the concert and stuff. You know, I mean, I see this, you know, as a security for a concert. You know, it used to be lighters, now it's mobile phones, you know. Stuff like that, you know. So the whole vibe from the 90s is gone, you know what I mean? Now it's all producing, be fast, do this, do that, and, you know, Instagram, all that shit, you know what I mean? You know, in a few, I don't know when, but you know, maybe I get to this later, but we have an album, me and my man, Kenneth Masters, we got an album. This is coming out soon, and if you listen to the intro, you know exactly what we talk about. You know what I mean? Like that. Yeah.
Nice. And a question just came to my head right now as you were talking about this, because you obviously, as you said, you remember the 90s very fondly. Do you, so as someone who listened to that era and loved that era, did you notice anything special at the time about Tupac and Biggie compared to everyone else? Because obviously they're immortalized now. Tupac and Biggie Smalls, they stand out now in today's era. But back then, did you notice that they were the best in their era? Or
Oh yeah, I mean when I never been a big fan of Tupac, but I loved this first album. I loved some of his first joint from the first album, like Brenda's Got a Baby, and the first album really, I loved it. Or Biggie, when Biggie came out, I remember, I never forget. There's a club here in Hanover, used to be, is that club gone already? Here in Hanover where I live, there used to be a club, and unfortunately, I think the name was Rap Over or something like that. And they was playing Juicy. For the first time, I hear Juicy in that club. And I never forget because he played like 2 times, he played it and I played it again. And I was like, oh, what's that, man? And then like a week later, I got the whole album, and I was listening to it back up and down. And, I was listening to this for months, like, yeah, I remember that. And you could tell at that time, there's something special, you could tell that, I mean, even with Tupac, you could tell there's something special, it's something different. It's not like the average stuff, you hear and stuff. But yeah, in the 90s, at that time, you don't think about how it's going to be like 20 years later, you don't really think about it. So now that we are 20 years or 30 years later, you be like, that's why I said, man, it's kind of living in the past and stuff, because you miss that time,
yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. So going back now forward to you starting to be a bouncer. What stories do you have? Do you have any crazy stories, any interesting stories that you can share?
Yeah, because we already talked about it like a few weeks ago, and I was thinking about some funny stories. I mean, so it's two different things I do, right? So if I work as a bouncer, it's like a normal club night when you have like people coming in and getting drunk and starting fights and stuff like that. And sometimes it's getting wild, it's just like also dangerous, because not everyone fights fair, right? Like people use weapons or throw stuff, and so it's always important having a good team, so you definitely gotta have a good team and trust each other and have each other's back. And so it's not only the actual fighting, it's also what's going to happen afterwards, because a lot of times they report us to the police. Never anything happened to us that in that case, because we were in the right. We're not like beating up people, and mostly we just take them apart. When two sides fight, we just split them up, and but sometimes we also have to use some force, just to submit them, but so yeah, we have, but I have some stories. One time there was Mob Deep having a show, so but only like Havoc and Big Noid, because obviously Prodigy already passed away. So it's funny because in the 90s I saw Mob Deep. In 1996 I saw they were in Germany on tour, so I saw them there, and then outside the club there was a little basketball court, and we got there early, and they had the sound check, and they were chilling outside, and then started to play basketball. I played basketball with Havoc at that time. That was funny, like just shooting balls and shit, So fast forward 21 years later, 2017, they were on tour in Germany, and they had an email, a threat, someone threatened them. Something will happen to them when they're on stage. So that's why they wanted us to pick them up from the hotel, bring them backstage, and for the whole time of the concert, I kind of stood on the stage next to Havoc and Big Noid. So going back in the 90s, if you see this here, this is the Mob Deep. Wait a second, the Mob Deep Dragon. I had that tattooed on in the 90s because I was a super huge Mobb Deep fan. So 21 years later, I'm standing on stage with Mobb Deep, you know what I mean? Like that was like, woo. So, and backstage, I talked to Havoc. I said, you know, actually we met before. And he's like, what? Yeah. I said, I mean, I understand that you can't remember that. I don't know how many thousands of concerts you had and always meet people. So I'm not worried about that. But in the 90s, you had a concert, you know, and then I was telling the story about me playing basketball and stuff like that. And he's like, oh shit, really? Yeah. I said, yeah. So now 21 years later, I'm your security. So, man, that's crazy. That's crazy. I hope it won't take another 21 years that we meet again and stuff like that. So they were mad cool and shit. So the whole time of the concert, I stood next to them. You know, I mean, that was crazy. You know? I was unfortunately, I mean, it was only a small venue, you know, small place, and the stage was really small, you know, so I really could reach out my hand to touch them that close. I stood to them, you know what I mean? Like, so it was that's a cool thing. Another funny story is I met KRS-One twice during concerts, right? First time I met him, he came up to me, hey, you're the security? Yeah. Said like, hey, you want to take a picture with me? I said, yeah, hell yeah. Man. So I took a picture with him, right? So 2 years later, he came back again, having a show and stuff. And then that now the funny thing is, he recognized me. You know, we talked a little bit, and after a show, we had to bring him to his car. You know, there was a lot of people waiting outside. So me and my my friend, my working colleague, brought him to the car, and you know the people came rushing in. You know, my friend is quite big, you know, strong guy, and the car already, the door was open, and he kind of threw KS-One in the car. You know, he was looking, man, what's going on? You know, it was like kind of unreal. You know what I mean? Because there was nothing happening. You know, he was a little over excited. He just threw him in the car, closed the door, and the car went off. That was so funny. You know. Until this day, when we talk about it, we just laugh our asses off, you know. I mean, that was so funny, man. Yeah, but yeah, man. I mean, because of my job, I met a lot of these old school legends, you know, like EPMD. They were mad cool, you know. That was funny too, you know. I had a jumper on, like a hoodie with EPMD in front. And after the concert, I forgot who. One of them asked me, "Where you got that from?" I said, "Oh man, I bought that when I was in Hong Kong. You know, I bought it in Hong Kong. Like they have like million of stands where you can buy this stuff, and I bought it there." And then he just, I think it was Parrish, and then he said to Eric, "You see, they bootlegging our shit in Asia." I said, "Man, I don't know, man. I just bought that shit. It's all good." That was kind of funny too, though. You know. I met Pete Rock and CO Smooth. They didn't talk a word with me. You know, I stood also on stage with them, actually, bigger stage, but still, they didn't even look at me or talk to me, nothing. You know what I mean? As who was cool was Vinny Paz from Vinny Paz. Yeah, he gave me it was in summertime, and the concert was sold out. It was a big place, and I also had to stand on stage, you know, and then all the lights hot, and I stood there, and all of a sudden he came and brought me a bottle of water. I mean, it's just a small, tiny gesture, but you know, it came from the heart, and I thought that was mad cool, you know what I mean? Like, and the funny thing is, like, several months later, I never, you know what I not do when I meet these guys? I never tell them I make beats. I don't know why, you know, I'm not like that. I don't go to people, hey, I make beats, you want my beats and stuff like that. I never do that. So they don't know that. They just think I'm a regular security guy. So funny story is, one time I got a message on Instagram from Vinny Pass, right? And then he said, "Hey, yo, what's up, man? I just want to tell you, got dope beats and stuff." I said, "Oh, thank you. That's great, man." He said, "Hey, when you want to send if you have some beats, send me. Here's my email, this and that." And then I told him, you know, actually we met before, and he said, yeah. When you had a concert in Hanover, you gave me a bottle of water. I was on stage. I was the security. I said, "What? Really? Yeah." So you didn't know that was me, you know, when he told me the shit about the beats and stuff, you know. So that was cool too.
Yeah. Now that's amazing. Your whole life story is just interesting. So I'm very
Yeah.
happy about that. All right. So now I want to get into the music. So I'll just be talking about the two albums that I've heard that you produced. So
Yeah.
I want to talk about the Denku album and the Kinetic 9 album.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Cool. Cool.
Hip Hop or Death, I think, was Denku's one. Um, yeah, that album, Hip Hop or Death, is the one that you produced for his first studio album.
It's not his first album. It's like his. I don't even know. It's our third album actually already.
Oh,
We already had two full albums before, but he already did like I had to lie, maybe 10 albums. That was not his first album,
oh,
like
okay. Well,
crazy man, crazy. He's got a crazy output. So yeah,
wow. Well, there you
so
go.
that was our fourth album. Sorry, fourth album, number 4. We already got 3 albums before that.
Oh, wow. Well,
Yeah.
here I am. I'm in the wrong. So his fourth
All
album,
good. All good.
yeah. So that was the first album I've ever heard with you producing. That's the first time I heard your production.
Okay,
And
cool.
and I remember reviewing it, and I remember really liking it. It was really good album. But tell me what was your vision for this album going into it? What did you want to do with it, and were you happy with what came out?
Yeah, I mean, I have to tell you something. The way the album happened, you know what I mean. So me and Danko, we know each other about 3 years now, maybe 3 years, and you can say, man, it's a little crazy because we have so much. We work so much that we at the end we have like 3-4 folders full of music, and then we make albums, okay, we put that there and this there and this there. So it's not like we do one album. It's like we got 100 songs and have 4 albums or 5. You know what I mean? Actually, we still have about 10 albums that will come out. That's already done deal. They are done already. With like, there's also some split albums with other famous MCs, like Danko and Cellar Dwellers, or Danko and Trust OG, Danko and Young, what's his name, Young Z. So many, what I mean, like we got crazy output. We got an album with Craig G, legend. So it's not like we work on one album and then the next and then the next. We have so much output that we have to pick what we put it together. It's like that. So that's crazy. So but yeah, when it came to the album Hip Hop or Death, we kind of picked certain songs for that. So you see that it has a lot of features, a lot of like legends. So we kind of went that route to we have Onyx on there, and man, I've there's another album just shortly after came out to a label in Canada, and that one is called Collabzilla, and it also has a lot of features like from Jada Kiss to Snoop Dogg. So yeah, but Deco and me, we kind of have the same vibe, like the boom bap, the little grimy, so man, but yeah, it's hard to talk about that one album because when we did it spread over, weeks and months, and then we just put it together.
All right. Well, then instead of that, then tell me. So, what made the songs that you chose for this album stand out from the hundreds? Why these songs?
It's a little bit like let me pick this album. Because I don't even. That. You see, there's so many albums we did. Wait a second. No, Hip Hop or Death. That's like one of the albums that didn't come out on vinyl. We got a lot of shit on vinyl too. And yeah, like I said, I mean the name, and if you see the cover artwork is kind of grimy, like a little dark. So he came up with the title idea, hip hop or death, you know. So that's how we kind of went for the songs. If you listen to them, the beats, they're also like grimy and have a darkish vibe like that, you know. So we kind of picked those songs to put it on that album, you know. Like if you listen to another album, it's maybe more like groovy, bouncy, you know, like, yeah. But yeah, that's how we picked it, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the other album I want to talk about, the only other album I've heard with your production is the Connect 9 one.
Kinetic 9, yeah. So Kinetic 9 used, this MC name used to be for Beretta 9. Beretta 9 was part of Killer Army, or it still is, actually, you know. The Killer Armies were like a affiliation group of Wu-Tang Clan. You know, the Wu-Tang Clan, they had a lot of, like RZA, his cousin, Ninth Prince, I think, he is a member of Killer Army, and they kind of have the same vibe, maybe a little bit more grimy, actually. And they were big in the 90s, Killer Army and Sons of Man, you know. And I even forgot how I met Kinetic 9. I think he just contacted me online because he heard some of my beats. And then basically, well, I asked him to, I actually, for my first studio album, my producer album, I got a couple of producer albums out. My first one came out a couple of years ago on a British label called Chopped Herring Records. And yeah, and I featured Kinetic 9 on one of the tracks, you know, and then actually we took it from there and then made more and more songs. And we actually had maybe six tracks together, and actually released it a couple of years ago. But I wasn't too happy about the sound, you know, like my equipment, I got better equipment now for mixing and stuff like that. And so I kind of redone a few of the tracks and or remastered them. I mean, like, you know, I improved the sound of it. And then we got a couple of new tracks so that the whole album is like a mix of old tracks that I kind of renewed with new beats, or at least made the sound better. And then we got some, the other half is more new tracks, you know. So yeah, and then, I mean, the whole thing is like everything, do it by yourself, you know, there's no label behind it. It's just us, you know what I mean, promoting itself, doing the CDs by ourselves, you know, have them printed, but you know, that's it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sound is like 90s style with twist of now, and it came out pretty dope, you know. Kind of sells well too. You know, I'm surprised about that, you know, because when we brought it out like a couple of years ago, it didn't do that well, you know, but now it's kind of doing good, you know. So
nice.
So
I
we're
remember
planning for the next one already.
I remember reviewing that album as well, and both those albums, and I reviewed it very highly because it was very good albums.
Yeah. Thanks for that, man. Really appreciate it.
So now that those, like I know you've released already more albums since those. I still have to listen to those. But tell me, what's in the future for you? What do you have in the immediate future, and what are your goals for the long-term future, music-wise?
Yeah. Well, there's so many, because I work with a lot of different MCs and they all have their own flavor and their own vibe. Some are really hard and rugged, the others more smooth, vibing, you know what I mean? So I always make the beats fit to them. It's all boom bap, you know, but even boom bap, you know, you have different vibes, right? The jazzy, soulful, or rugged, you know what I mean? Like sampling music from horror movie soundtracks, stuff like that, you know. And but yeah, let me highlight some highlights that's gonna come out very soon. So I'm not sure which one is coming first, you know, because there are also some of them actually drop on labels, you know, different labels. So but let me talk about one special album first. That's the one I'm doing with my man Kenneth Masters. also known as K-Mass. He's from Philadelphia, but is living in Oakland now. And we started working on an album. What we got now? September. I think like 2 years and 2 months ago. So we worked on one album, 2 years and 2 months. So now it was all recorded already, maybe after 1.5 years, you know. So we got like 14 tracks, and it's gonna make moves. I'm 100% sure about that, you know, because it's special. It's special. Even the way it is produced. I produced the album, and then we have a friend of Kenneth Masters, who's a dope engineer. He's mixing and mastering, but went the old school road. You know what I mean? Like, so when you mix a song, next step is to record the mixed song. Nowadays, it's all digitally. You know, we will just record it on your computer. You know, you mix it and then you record it, or you transfer it and make it a wave file. But the old school way would be reel to reel. Like you got these big ass mixing boards, and you mix the song, the sounds, the drums, the voice, everything, make it nice, and then you record it to reel. And then the reel to reel will be mastered. And that again will be recorded back to a DAT before, you know, or to a floppy disk or something like that. But now it's all digital. But we did it reel to reel. But actually the guy, my man's guy, he did that, you know. So the sound is gonna be like, you know, it's like watching movies, you know. Nowadays, no one shoots movies with 35 millimeters anymore. They're all digital, right? So it's the same with music, you know. So, but we went back to old school road. So the sound's gonna have more warmth and, you know, I say more soul just from the song talking about the sound. You know, so yeah, so that makes it special. And if everything goes well, it also will be released through HHV Records, which is like a big label in Europe, Germany. But they send out album. Most people that buy hip hop on vinyl will buy an HHV, you know, online and stuff like that. So yeah, looking forward to release that, man, because it's been a long time, you know. It's been a long time coming. Another album, which we started with COVID. When COVID started, I have a good friend in Portland, and his name is Elab Authority. And yeah, we've been working on the album since the start with COVID. It's funny. The album is done, and we together we go as Broken Toys. You know what I mean? Like, and he made some dope ass video that is not yet dropped, but you know, he had a custom made suit, like you know the movie Django, right? Yeah, he has this Django outfit, like you know, with the fluffy shoulders, and you know when Django wear this colorful stuff. I don't even know how to call it. Yeah, but the video is gonna be dope, man. It's gonna be like, it's not like the typical video standing in front of a graffiti wall rap. It's different, you know. I mean, it's gonna be different, and also the sound, you know. Yeah, that's like two big projects we've been working a long time on. Other than that, I just recently and so fast. Now opposite. It's an old school legend from Canada. His name is Thrust. Now calling himself Thrust OG. And he's pretty much known as a legend in Canada, right? And we did an album, I think, within 3 weeks. Whole album. And that will be dropping on vinyl too, you know. So, and then so many, I still got like 10 projects with Denku lined up. And I probably forget. Oh yeah, there's another Wu-Tang affiliation group called Swords of Heaven. We got the album laid out already. I did something for one MC called Heaven Razor. That will be dropping. Oh, there's so many stuff, man. You know, it's probably too much to talk about all of that, you know. But yeah, I'm working.
Yeah, you're a busy guy. I love it. Cool. So you told me about your childhood. You told me about your martial arts, your traveling, and your music. I have one final question for you, and and I asked this to everyone, and it's a curveball question. So, in your opinion, what is the most underrated and overrated album of all time?
Wow. The most underrated album. Wow, that's a good question. Now let me think about it for a second. Most underrated album. Well, it's probably going to be an album that I really love and listen to a lot. And oh yeah, but I don't even know if it's really underrated, but I think it is. I think it is. It's called School of Hard Knocks, and the crew is called Hard Knocks. This album came out like 1991 or 2, and I think that's the only album they ever made. If you don't know it, you can even listen to it on YouTube, the whole album. And because the way that the guy kind of reminds me a little bit, the voice like Rakim, but he have a different flow. He's got a different flow. And the beats, wow, the beats are so dope. The samples and the drums, so that's like some true East Coast New York shit, you know, from the Bronx. I think they're from the Bronx, but they only did that one album. Man, I tried to find the guy, you know, trying to make an album with him or something like that. But I don't even know his real name, and I can't find nothing, man. But I always wondered why they only make one album, because the album is so dope. I can't just, if you like that boom bap and the East Coast flavor, listen to that album. Really. But I think it's not really that much underrated. But it's not, I think it never blew up that big. But I think like the hardcore guys, like the real heads, everyone would know it. But that's it. Never got any further, you know. Overrated? Ooh. Man, that's hard to say. Because, yeah, I just, my opinion on the most overrated album. I don't want to make no enemies and shit, you know. But this is hard. But we're talking hip hop, right?
Yeah.
Most overrated hip hop album. Man, I mean, there's probably a couple of albums, but it's just my personal taste and stuff. But I didn't like too much the Tupac album with like Dear Mama on it and all
Me
these.
Against the World.
Yeah, Me Against the World. That's it. Yeah, I think it's not my cup of tea. Like really, you know. Yeah, I would probably say that now, but there's probably others too. You know.
Well, there you go.
Just the taste, you know, music, the taste of what we like. You know what I mean? Like I like more I don't like the kind of sounds, you know, and you know. But there were some dope tracks on it, you know. If I think about it, there's like 2 or 3 tracks that I actually like, you know. So yeah.
Well, there you go. You survived the question. Everyone reacts the same. They're all thrown away like, oh shit, how do I say this? So congratulations. So all right. So now that that's covered, do you have anyone or anything that you want to shout out before we finish?
I mean, yeah, shout out to all my people, like okay, if I hope I don't forget anyone, but let's let my man K Maz, my man Elad. Okay, I on top I have a wall with my records, you know. So, my man Tony Patagonia, my man Kenneth Masters, I said that already, didn't I? Danku, of course. My man Rambunctious, Urban Legend, Mars One, and Jack Diamonds, my man Thrust, my man Chief Wrecker, oh my God, Ed OG, my man, right there. Man, there are so many, you know, I work with so many, and it's everyone I'm working with, man, I got you on the next one. And then I just like to say, for those hip hop heads out there, man, give the underground heads a chance, man. I mean, you know, I see, and I'm not talking about my own music now, like so many artists I work with, they're so dope, you know what I mean? They better than, in my opinion, better than a lot of those people that are big, you know, they're much better. And you see they make videos with so much love, and the songs, they put so much effort and work in it and love, you know. And then you look at the views on YouTube, you know, they got like 100 views or something. I mean, it doesn't break a leg to click on it and just have a look at it, you know what I mean? Like it's free music, you know, you can just watch the video or whatever, support a little bit, you know. It always helps the underground artists. And I'm not talking about my own music. You know, we all could do better that, you know, but it doesn't cost a thing, you know what I mean? It's not breaking a leg. Click, you know, it's just clicks, you know what I mean? Like that. So but yeah, man, I hope we get a little bit back the old vibe from the 90s into this hip hop, you know what I mean? Don't make it like short-lived and superficial, you know what I mean? Like that, you know. So yeah. Stop hating. Man, there's some people out there, right? There's some people out there that have like Instagram channels or whatever and rate albums and really hate on stuff, you know. They don't even know how much fucking work it is, you know. They just listen to the final product and then they say, oh shit, they shit, like that, you know what I mean? Just like that, you know what I mean? What are they, you know what I mean? Like what are they doing for the culture or for the music or whatever, you know what I mean? You know, but it is what it is.
No, I agree. Look,
More love, less hate.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, this was an amazing interview. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll be posting it ASAP. After this, I'll post it straight away onto my group and on my YouTube channel, and let's see if we can get some love and yeah, make this go viral.
I'm definitely gonna change share that. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. Thank you again for your time. Thank you for taking the time of day to talk to me, and I really appreciate it.
It's been a big pleasure. Thanks for doing this with me, man. You know, I hope I was understandable, since English is not my first language, really. But yeah.
Now you're all good. All right. Yeah. Thank you very much, and I'll be talking to you. Yeah, again on Facebook.
Oh yeah. I hook you up with some new music soon too.
Nice. I can't wait. I'll make sure to review it for you.
Yeah, that's nice, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a good one.
You too, bro.
Yeah.